Just got a Harbor Freight grinder pedestal recently. Actually, I've got a new one. I've got another one that I've had for a while now. And as you go to put them together, they've got a lot of wobble to them. So on the first one, I'd gone around and I looked online to see what people had done to correct the wobble, because the cylinder that goes into the castings is very much undersized. There's a lot of play. And then it uses bolts that go in from the outside and they compression fit on that cylinder and it crushes the walls. So there's all kinds of crazy convoluted methods I've seen. And I had just tried some of the crazy methods myself, and eventually it came to me, and I'm sure somebody's done it before I did. But it's pretty simple to actually self-tap the bolts that come with it to make it work with the pedestal and to really make it a solid piece of equipment for a reasonable price. So we're going to go through the process of how you go about and do that. So hang tight. You're going to want to check the hardware that came with your pedestal. Make sure it's got the same dimensions as the one that I did, received. So mine is going to have basically the bolts, the shafts on those. They're going to be, for the socket, you need a 16 millimeter, and you're going to need a multi-bit, drill bit, or 3/8. And so what you're going to do is tighten down. You're going to put the cylinder into the foot pedestal or start at the top. And you're going to want to get that, seated well. And you're going to start the bolts into it. And you're going to go ahead and put them down tight enough so that they actually mark where it tightens down so that you can get a mark where you're going to drill. And what I did is I measured the bolt itself. So the inside diameter of the bolt, not including the threads, came up to roughly 3/8. And then the threads were extending beyond that. So I was able to drill 3/8 holes. And once you start to put the bolts in, they actually self-tap. And, it's all threaded on the casting. And then it taps itself into the cylinder wall. And you just want to make sure not to over-tighten it. If you over tighten it, you still don't have too much to worry about. You can always put a nut on the back for the ones you can reach. But also the fact that it's gone through the tube and it's not going to tear the walls of the tube. So for the base especially, there's 3 points of contact. So it's going to be very firm. Now, as far as the tray for the water tray or the accessories tray, that's only got one bolt to hold in place, and so is the top. So you're going to want to be as accurate as you can be for those two so that when you do tighten it down, it's going to be firm. So that's basically it. And I'm going to go through the process of doing it, basically marking. Once you've got it marked, then you're going to go ahead and you're going to drill it out. I ended up having to use like a little over an 1/8 bit to get a starter hole. And then I used the multi-bit and was able to ream that out to 3/8. Then you go ahead and align the bolts. You're going to bolt those in and tighten them down, and you end up with a very stable grinder pedestal. It's roughly about 24, 25 pounds. It's good for buffers and grinders. If you need more weight than that, I've seen people fill them with cement, but that really wasn't necessary for my use. So I got one set up where I have a grinder on it, and a wire wheel, and this one that I'm making right now, this is going to be for a buffing station. So now we've bored those holes out to 3/8. We can go ahead and put the column back into the stand, and we're going to go ahead and start lining up the bolts and screwing them in. And as you screw them in, they're threaded on the cast part itself, and it's going to pick up on the tube on the inside, and it's going to start to self-thread. So you don't need to worry about stripping it because you'd have to strip the casting to get it to go too far. Now, if you did drill a hole that was too big, that's why I showed the bolt kit that they also carry at Harbor Freight. On the first one, I did actually use bolts with washers and lock nuts on the base. That worked really well. I didn't need to use that. I just went ahead and used all the hardware that came with it. But if by chance you do over drill, make the holes too big, you can always put bolts in to then tighten up at least on the base. So I might recommend starting at the top and doing the top and then the tray, so that if you do have to re-drill, if it doesn't fit just right and tighten it the way you want it to, you have the ability to rotate that top and get it, nice and secure. And then the bottom's fairly straightforward with those 3 holes in it. Even if you only caught 2, but you're going to get all 3 of them, it's going to be very stable. The feet will be in the direction that you want them to be. So I recommend starting with the top, and then the tray to mount the tray, and then the bottom last. So a little shaky, I know, but you can see that where we drilled the hole, that bolt is going to just thread right through those holes. So you just want to make sure you drill the hole so that it's just smaller, same size as the internal rod of the bolt, right here, but not wider than the outside threads. So even without tightening this down, this is really stable now. So if you wanted to, you could put a nut on that if you had a nut, but all those are coming through. You can see we threaded into it, but it's not pulling tight to the back. You could shim it, but what we're going to do instead is we're going to loosen that up. And now that's been threaded through the tube, like I said, we'll loosen that up, and then we'll get that aligned more closely with the back where the threading is going to start, and we'll go ahead and put that bolt back in, and that will draw the back side where the bolt is tighter to the tube, and then we can shim the front if we feel that we need to. So the last thing that we need to do, since we've got the tray in and we've got the base on, is to get the top on there where you actually bolt the grinder down. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I would put that on first because it does only have 1 hole. And if you misdrill it, you may need to rotate it to get a fresh piece of tube to where you can drill it properly. So I suggest starting with the top, then maybe the tray, and then finally the feet, because the feet are the easiest to get lined up. You're probably going to drill those one time. So that's it. We've basically made a wobbly bench grinder pedestal, not wobbly. And there are some other things you can do, such as fill them with cement or sand. Some people have cut circles out of plywood and put up through the bottom and then through the top to keep it from caving. But I really think that this is a very simple thing. All you need to do is have a drill bit that fits and a socket that you're going to need anyways to put it together, and self-tap those. It's more of a shear. It's going to have to shear that pipe on the inside for those bolts for that to start to get vibration and movement. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope these tips helped out. And if you like, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and we'll see you next time we put something up. Have a great day or night.